All right, attention Ravens flock, Yinzer Nation, Dog Pound. I cannot remember what Cincinnati calls themselves. It's on the top of my head, but I can't remember it right now. You know what? I'm going to call y'all Jungle Cats. Basically, attention all AFC North teams and their fan base. Week 16 is approaching, and honestly, with the way this division is looking, it's going to come down to the final week of the season. It is crazy. Right now, heading into Week 16, the Cincinnati Bengals are on top of the division with an 8-6 record. Right behind them is the Baltimore Ravens at 8-6. Then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers sitting at 7-6-1, and in last place in the division, you've got the Cleveland Browns sitting at 7-7. They suffered that 7th defeat after a tough loss against the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday. So, oh my God, this division is just tight, man. It is tight. So it's coming down to the final week of the season, especially based on how this schedule's looking. When you take a look at the schedule for all four teams, you will see one glaring thing. 2 of their final 3 matchups are against division rivals. They got 1 game left that's outside of this division. The Ravens, they got to deal with the Rams. The Cincinnati Bengals have to deal with the Chiefs. The Steelers also have to deal with the Chiefs. And the Browns have to deal with the Packers. So it's really going to be tough. For me, the way I look at this division, I think the key is going to come down to... the overall key to winning this division is going to come down to who can get to 10 wins. If you can get to 10 wins, you're going to win this division. And it really looks like it's going to come down to that. You know, Baltimore and Cincinnati have the biggest advantage when it comes down to getting 10 wins. And Steelers are right at it, but Cleveland has a lot of work to do. Cleveland cannot afford to lose a single game. They have to win all 3 of their games in order to win this division. They might need to win all 3 of their games to make the playoffs. This is crazy. Heading into Week 16, all 4 of these teams are within range of making the playoffs. Cincinnati right now is in the playoffs. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland are in the hunt. So all these teams still have an opportunity to make the playoffs, and all these teams still have an opportunity to win this division. That is insane. Week 18 may be the most important one, specifically because it's just nothing but divisional rivals. The Bengals will take on the Browns, while the Ravens will take on the Steelers in Week 18. But I'm looking at this upcoming game here in Week 16, and I think this might be the most important one. Because Week 16, you've got Cincinnati and Baltimore taking on each other, and then you got the Steelers taking on the Chiefs at Kansas City, and the Browns taking on the Packers in Green Bay. This could be the deciding factor for Baltimore or Cincinnati to try and take a hold of this division. Because if you look at it, as a Ravens fan, I'm going to start with our scenario first. The best thing that can happen is the Ravens take down the Bengals and advance to 9-6 while the Bengals fall to 8-7. Then you look at Pittsburgh. I don't think they're beating Kansas City. And I don't think Cleveland's going to beat the Packers. So the best case scenario for the Ravens would be to win against Cincinnati and then look at the Steelers and Browns. They both lose. If Cleveland loses one more game, they're probably done for the season. They're not going to make the playoffs most likely if they lose one more game. So if they lose to the Packers next week, it could be the end for Cleveland's season. Because they'll drop to 7-8. Meanwhile, Steelers will drop to 7-1 if they lose to the Chiefs. That would be perfect because at that point, Baltimore will be sitting at 9-6. They would have the advantage over the Bengals because they'll be one game ahead. And all they'll need to do is find a way to beat the Rams, but also take care of the Steelers. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Cincinnati also has that advantage. I believe if Cincinnati beats Baltimore on Sunday, they most likely win this division. They'll take on the Ravens, and then the following week they'll deal with the Chiefs. I don't think they're going to beat the Chiefs. That could be a loss. But then Week 18 for the division most likely will be for them to beat the Browns. And if they can beat the Browns, they'll just secure the AFC North. So I think Baltimore and Cincinnati have the best opportunity to give themselves a great chance to win this division starting this week. Like, if the Ravens beat the Bengals, and both the Steelers and the Browns lose, which could very well happen because they're going up against tough teams, then Baltimore puts themselves in a beautiful position to take this division. Meanwhile, if Cincinnati wins and Baltimore loses, and then Pittsburgh and Cleveland loses as well, that's the best possible scenario for Cincinnati, and they'll probably go on to win this division. So it's getting tough. As for Pittsburgh, for the most part, they don't have to win next week against Kansas City. They don't. They really don't. If they can beat both the Browns and the Ravens, they might put themselves in a good position to make the playoffs. In terms of winning the division, yeah, I would say winning the division, they would need 10 wins as well. So Kansas City is a must-win game. In terms of making the playoffs, I think if they beat the Ravens and the Browns, Pittsburgh will make the playoffs. But in terms of winning this division, they got to find a way to win in Kansas City. So it's tough for them. But it's not necessarily a situation where it's like, yeah, they need to beat the Chiefs in order to make the playoffs. For Cleveland, I feel like that's the case. Baltimore, I think even if they don't beat Cincinnati, they will still find a way to make the playoffs. But at some point, you got to win. Baltimore is dealing with a 3-game losing streak. At some point, you have to win a football game. So if Baltimore loses to Cincinnati, they may lose out on the division, but they'll still have a great chance to make the playoffs. Though that next week matchup against the Rams will be very difficult. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But Baltimore, the best thing they can hope for is for them to beat their divisional rivals. Even if they can't beat the Rams, if you can beat the Steelers and the Bengals, you put yourself in a great position to win this division. 10 wins is good enough to win the AFC North this year. So that is the goal. Same thing for Cincinnati. If Cincinnati takes care of Baltimore and beats the Browns the final week of the season, they're going to take the division most likely. Because I don't think they're going to beat the Chiefs. And then when it comes to Pittsburgh, they're really going to have to hope that actually this could work out for them still. Because again, I still think Cincinnati is probably going to lose to the Chiefs. So even if Pittsburgh doesn't beat Kansas City, Cincinnati will face off against them next. And if Cincinnati beats the Ravens and then loses to the Chiefs, or if the Ravens beat the Bengals and lose to the Rams, Pittsburgh's still in good order, so it really is going to come down to the final week. This schedule is really crazy. You got the Ravens and Bengals really fighting for first place, and then, after that, you'll see Pittsburgh and Cleveland finish off their seasons against divisional rivals, because they're going to get their they're going to get their non-divisional matchups out the way first in Week 16, and then Week 17 and 18, they're going to deal with divisional rivals. Meanwhile, Baltimore and Cincinnati will face off against each other this week. And then next week, they'll take on their non-division rivals before Week 18 comes up, where they'll deal with their final divisional rival. This is a mess. The AFC North is insane this year. It's a bloodbath. It's a monstrous mess. I don't even know what to say. It is crazy. It's coming down to the wire. Honestly, I don't know who wins this division. Because I look at the Ravens. They are injured to hell. Their team is basically in a morgue. Pittsburgh, they're dealing with a lot of major injuries. Their offense isn't the best. It's a lot of problems. It's just issues all around. I'm seeing issues with some coaching stuff, and I'm not going to get into that. Pittsburgh will talk about that. Their offense is a serious issue. They're decimated with their defense, so that's an issue. Then Cleveland's getting decimated with injuries and all this other stuff. Baker has been battered and beaten to hell throughout the entire season. Play calling's also been a problem for them. So Cleveland's also dealing with that nonsense. And then Cincinnati, they've been the team that's been the most healthy and the most fundamentally sound in the AFC North. But still, they're having struggles and losing games I didn't think they'd lose. Cincinnati should have been ahead. But the fact that this division is this close and Cincinnati could still lose the division, it is just wow. It speaks volumes for what this AFC North division has been this year. So it's coming down to the wires, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming down to the wire. Anybody can take it. The crown is up there. As a Ravens fan, my main focus for this team is to beat Cincinnati. Right now, we are 1-3 in the division. If you want to win this division, you got to finish with a 500 record. You have to. You have to finish with a 500 record. But most importantly, you got to beat Cincinnati. If the Ravens cannot beat Cincinnati on the road this Sunday, the division's wraps. It's wrapped up. It's over. The Ravens will not win the AFC North if they lose to the Bengals on Sunday. Will they make the playoffs? That's where it's going to get tougher, because now you're in a must-win. Nah, they really are. Yeah, I don't even know if they can afford the Bengals loss, because the AFC as a whole is very difficult. So looking at this now, Cincinnati really has the advantage because their record in the AFC North is so good right now. But then again, I don't know, man. The key to winning this division is 10 wins, but after that, I can't guarantee any one of these teams is going to make the playoffs, because the AFC is just so competitive this year with these records. My goodness. But yeah, it's tough. And I know speaking on this now, it don't mean much, because many of us look at this division and say whoever wins out of the AFC North is going to make the playoffs and go one and done. And that may very well be the case, but at the same time, making the playoffs is still something every team strives to get to, because you want an opportunity to play in January. And if you can get to January and play in the postseason, anything can happen. Let's not forget the 9-7 Giants went on to win the Super Bowl and they beat the Patriots there. So anything can happen, man. As long as you can get in the tournament, you have a chance to win. That's just the mindset. So it's going to be a crazy end to this season. All I can say for all the fan bases here is try your best to enjoy these final 3 games, because your team's not guaranteed to make the playoffs. I can tell you right now, matter of fact, I could throw a guarantee. 2 of these teams in this division is not making the playoffs. 2 of these teams, they're not making the playoffs. I don't know which 2 teams, but I can guarantee that. And based on how the AFC is looking as a whole, I might go as far as to say that only one team's coming out of this, and that's the winner of the division. So, yeah, every team in the AFC North has an opportunity to win this division. Cleveland has the hardest work because they have to just win out. They have to win out, and just, yeah, they just got to win out in general. If Cleveland can win out, they probably take this division. But that's a tall task. So Cleveland has to win out. Pittsburgh probably has to win out. Baltimore and Cincinnati have to win this matchup that's coming up on Sunday, and then make sure to win again on Week 18, and they probably take the division then. But yeah, it's coming down to the wire, man. It's coming down to the wire. We'll see what happens. AFC North teams, AFC North fan base, get ready for a hectic final 3 weeks of the season. We'll see what happens. But with that being said, that is all I got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace!